Welcome to the chat. We're going to get into anything and everything you guys want to talk about tonight. And, of course, we'll talk about rest versus trying to make sure you win the game, healing up certain players, what they might actually do, some roster moves that went on over the past 24 hours that I've reported on exclusively, and anything else you guys want to talk about, whether it's Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, of course, the playoffs, and my thoughts on the Ravens-Steelers matchup. But, yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, let's start with personnel. So Amir Speed agreed to terms on Monday, signed his contract, back on the practice squad. 6'3", 215-pound corner, formerly Patriots and Colts. And, of course, also the University of Georgia. And then Solomon Byrd cleared waivers. And so he's back on the practice squad. So they get Solomon back in the fold. Did get some interest, I heard, from the Jaguars even. But they didn't put in a claim. So he chose to stay with the Texans. And now he's all set. Running quarterback for Colts is Riley Leonard. Riley will start instead of Phillip Rivers. I think that's actually easier for the Texans than Phillip, who's a accomplished veteran, had a storied career, covered so many games of Phillips. Even when I was covering the Ravens, he was the Chargers quarterback. So, yeah, I thought that was cool. But ultimately, he didn't win any games, right? And the Colts are eliminated from the playoffs contention. And now it's Riley Leonard is solid. He hasn't really embarrassed himself. He's been okay. I don't think he's good enough to beat the Texans, if that answers your question. And Kamari's a little sore, but he could play this weekend if they need him to. I think he will. Remember when they played the Titans last year and he said he'd play everybody, but then C.J. Stroud played one series? It could go that way, where D'Amico Ryans has a bunch of guys active, and then we'll see how much they play. If they get a lead, I think he'd pull guys out of there, key guys. And then, of course, some scoreboard watching. Does this game mean anything? But because they still have a chance to win the division, why wouldn't you try to win the division? And I agree with that approach. Happy New Year's. No, they will not be making a move for a safety. They did make a move for a safety. Kayvon Wallace. Kayvon is now the first-string safety on the depth chart. Jimmy Ward is not expected back until the playoffs, if ever. Jalen Reed is expected back at some point this season. He is close to healthy enough, and they could use him. Miles Bryant's been benched, to answer your question. Miles is last week against the Raiders. Kayvon Wallace is the current starting safety, all 6'1", 195 pounds of him. He was very aggressive. He had some tackles for losses. Talked to D'Amico Ryans. That was actually my first question to him at the Zoom on Monday, and he was impressed with what he saw from Kayvon Wallace. And he doesn't just praise anybody. He thought he did a good job. But, yeah, Miles had a bad game. He got benched. That's how it goes in the big city, right, in the NFL. Play well, or you can watch or be relegated to special teams like Miles Bryant is now. That's no knocking Miles Bryant. Fact is, he's a very undersized corner and safety. And he did his best, and he gave them some quality snaps. There were some other games where he thought he played well. But, yeah, all about timing in the league. Like I said, with the roster, we'll see if they activate anybody else. Of course, they've activated Justin Watson and created a roster spot by moving Solomon Byrd basically down to the practice squad. So you have Watson healthy again, back from that calf injury. And so now you add a little more depth at receiver. He's a good special team. Remember, he recovered a fumble against the Buccaneers. Beating the blitz, you got to recognize it. You got to have a play ready. You got to have a good safety valve. I think they should be throwing to Woody Marks some, but they're using Woody a lot in pass pro, and that's why. Yeah, exactly. Miles is a, player, very versatile, has had, some ability to play nickel. I think that's probably his best position. And, thanks, BGHTX. Yeah, please hit the like button. Anybody that wants to hit the tip jar like last time, that was big time. Much appreciated. If anybody wants to do that, it's encouraged. I appreciate it. It helps me with everything. Helps me and my family. Helps me with these trips. I'm proud to announce, by the way, we officially have a sponsor, Fence Geeks, which is an outstanding fence and custom door company based in Houston. Big Texans fan, and also has his business all over the country, in Phoenix and other locations, basically nationwide. Outstanding company. Really proud to partner with him, and we'll have a formal ad read that I'm working on now that we just reached terms today. So there we go, guys. A little round of applause. Fence Geeks, shout them out. Fence Geeks. They are on Instagram at Fence Geeks, and they do NFL players, celebrities, but there's no job too big or too small for Fence Geeks. Right. I mean, there are times where I don't know if CJ Stroud's seeing ghosts, but he's accustomed to being hit, and I think last year took a toll on him, and early in the season. So there's some habits there, right? But the offensive line, by any metric, has improved. 23 sacks, down from 52 last year. Thanks. Appreciate that. On the board. Appreciate the tip. But yeah, there's a little bit of concern that he's not just throwing the ball and just getting it out. I reported this. Tank is not coming back. I don't know if everybody saw my video and tweet, all done 24 hours ago, exclusively, actually here at YouTube and on my social media account. It's kind of a no-dub, but I was getting a lot of questions about it. So if you guys ask me questions, I'm going to answer them. No, Tank is not coming back. The plan was always for him not to come back this year, but to, in fact, play in 2026. He's doing well. He will be back next season. CJ can read the blitz. Yeah, CJ can beat the blitz. He has good stats against the blitz traditionally. I don't think they would claim Diggs' contract. No, absolutely not. You wouldn't want that contract. I don't know anybody that would want that contract. And there's some attitude there too. Absolutely not. No. Thanks, BG. Appreciate that. CJ has PTSD. Maybe. I tell you what, I don't know what it's like to take those hits. So until I walk a mile in that man's shoes, like the Migos said, something I can't do. My favorite player, that's so tough. I have so many good relationships in that locker room. Tim Settle Jr. and I really have a good rapport. Jamal Hill, I get along well with so many of the guys. Aziz Alshire, I have a lot of guys I have a really good rapport with. Titus Howard, we've known each other for years. I've been covering him since 2018. I know him. I know his family. We get along very, very well. A lot of these vets, Trent Brown, just really hit it off with him. But yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out, but yeah, some strong relationships in the locker room. Some guys that are been great to me. You want to know who D'Amico's favorite player is? I mean, my favorite player to watch would probably be Will Anderson Jr. I think that would be the same for D'Amico. Settle, it depends on price. His price may have gone down a little bit because of the injury. So we'll see if they can work something out. I heard they do want Sheldon Rankins back per sources, and it is mutual interest. I don't have a favorite team anymore. I do this as for a living. So I hope this doesn't offend anyone. I'm a journalist, which means I'm objective. I'm assigned to cover the Texans. I wish them well, but I'm not a fan. So that's a little bit different than your position as a fan. My job is to give you the information and to objectively convey the mood, the scene, the vibe around the team. It's not to cheer for them. So I know some of our journalists in this market do pretty much. They don't really hide it, that they're cheering for the Texans or they're frustrated with the Texans. I tend to be more objective, down the middle, and the guy that just want to give you the honest answer. That doesn't make me necessarily the most critical or the most opinionated, but I like to be the most honest and objective. So I'm not, against them by any means. I grew up a Washington Redskins fan. I grew up very near the old RFK Stadium. My family still has season tickets. I really could care less who wins. I just like to see a good football game. Oh, come on, Peter. Got to kick you out for that. Yeah, guys, please, no racist comments. That is not okay. Peter, be better. They are not in talks on a Titus extension, but both sides are open to it. I don't think Mixon will be back. I don't know if they'll get Breece Hall. There's some interest in him. I don't know if Breece and Woody, if there's enough of a contrast, but be an interesting tandem, right? I think Haley has made adjustments. I think, Haley recognized something in the Chargers game and he threw deep. When they started to take it away and he was recognizing that CJ was having some issues with the adjustments of Jesse Minter, he adjusted. And you know what he did? They handed the football off and played some smash mouth football with Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan. So when things like that happen, that is an adjustment. Any change you make is an adjustment. He saw that they were getting stagnant and he made some changes. I don't think Haley has ever been hopeless. Haley's shown me signs of promise throughout the season. So sometimes I see Haley doing a good job. Oh, thank you. You too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, BG, no racism. No hate speech, guys. Don't do that. I don't like that. That's where I draw the line. Just be respectful. But we always have trolls. That's happened. We get like one or two per show. That's okay. I think that they do rely on the defense. They do play a little too conservatively. I think they can make things easier if they could build a bigger lead. I think they would draft offensive linemen. I think they'll look at free agency, and I think they'll look at, are they going to extend Ed Ingram, Titus Howard? Are they going to look at some free agents and offensive line? We don't really know yet who all will be out there and who's worth it and what their prices are like. It's real early for both of those topics. Another question, a variation of the Kaylee Stroud not handling blitz pressure. Yeah, they didn't handle it well last time. I mean, the Chargers are also good at it, and that's the 4th-ranked defense. And I think, they scored some points. They made some things happen against a good defense. Minter's a head coaching candidate, and they have a great pass rush. I don't think it was like a disaster against the Chargers. It just could have been better. It should have been better, and some of that was on CJ. He didn't think he played that well either, but it's the first time I've seen him really have 2 weeks in a row where I thought he was missing some throws. Got off to a hot start, but he didn't sustain it. And I would say, looking at CJ and where he is, he needs to play a little bit better. But it is the playoffs, and this is we're right on the verge of the playoffs. Obviously, it's like the playoffs have started, and I think he's capable of playing some good football. I'm a bit of an X and O's guy. I'm not like someone that could get up there and draw up diagrams. My football days, playing days were, a long time ago, 30 years ago, playing for East Carolina as a linebacker. In terms of how I would describe Kaylee, it's more Patriots matchup football. A lot of the things that Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels were running in the early 2000s, where the receivers have to read the defense and then run option routes, and the quarterback's got to be in sync with them. It's more of that than the McVay version of the West Coast system, which was really started with, Sam Weish with the Bengals, Bill Walsh with the 49ers, and then the tree has gone on to the Mike Holmgrens, the Mike Shanahans, the Gary Kubiaks, and so it's a system. Ravens. I don't think the Steelers are playing very well. I think Lamar will play and play well. I would say I believe in the Ravens. I think the Jaguars are going to beat the Titans, and then the Texans will take care of business against the Colts and go into the playoffs on a 9-game winning streak. Outstanding. And guys, we have a free-for-all here. Any questions are valid, just whatever you want to talk about. I think Leki Fotu did more than enough to be elevated. I don't know if they'll sign. And they have 3 elevations left, so Probably they would just do another elevation. He would still get a game check at active roster salary. He's definitely, I thought, outplayed Marlon Davidson and Naquan Jones. He's a big guy. Like I talked about when they signed him, that he could get it done, and I wasn't surprised to see him up. Any thoughtful request to Han and Cal for the journalists to do their job easier and better with assuming their media team is watching right now? Oh, you're asking me about Hannah and Cal's content? I think Hannah, it's a good thing. It's a lighter side. It's kind of a different side. It's behind the scenes. It's the perspective of the women, the wives and girlfriends, her perspective on women's sports. It's not necessarily for everyone that's a hardcore football person to necessarily for that to be their favorite show, but why not? If she wants to have that, I encourage that. It's none of my business, but it's another voice, and obviously she knows the team very well, and she's important to the team. It's unusual. I had one person say, well, where was that during the losing streak? I don't know. I think that it took them a long time to kind of get all of this planned out was the reason why it's starting now. But I don't think it's a big deal. There's all kind of content, and I don't care what the guys say on the McAfee show or on the Acho show. I care about my content that I'm doing, and I feel like I do the best content, and my content is mine. It belongs to me, and it belongs to you guys. So I don't care like if someone says something on the McAfee show, the Kay Adams show. Guys, I know more about the Texans than all of those guys put together, and I don't worry about that. I'm very confident in my skills and in my knowledge of the team, so I don't worry about any of that stuff. People ask me all the time about things like that. Oh, you're welcome, Trent. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Really nice of you. Here's a good question. If the Titans beat the Jags and the Texans beat the Colts, then the Texans are the AFC South champion, and as the 3rd seed, they would play the 6th seed, and I believe they would play the Jaguars. I think Jalen Reed could make it back before the championship or the Super Bowl. I've already addressed Tank Dell and Joe Mixon. Big no. Raphael, hello? I think Jawar Jordan's a good running back, good vision, knows how to run the stretch zone, had a lot of experience at Louisville and Syracuse running those plays, and just does a nice job with it. There is no other option at CB3. Jalen Smith is out for the season. He had not ACL surgery, but he had some other type of serious surgery, and that's why he's out. I don't see him coming back this season. I just don't see anyone else that they get to put out there. He's also the fastest guy they have actually at corner. What's up, Raphael? The pro of resting is, of course, being fresher for the wild card round. The downside, of course, is what if you have another injury or if these injuries get worse? That's a problem. I addressed this earlier, just again, Kamari's knee injury is not serious. He wouldn't have been able to keep playing if it was. I think they'll use both those guys, and then if the game is, out of hand one way or another, or, if the Jaguars are taking care of business and there's nothing at stake, and maybe they'll pull some guys out of there. Title game's possible. I mean, who are you really afraid of? You could have beat the Broncos, possibly. You didn't lose by much, even after CJ got knocked out. Remember New England a year ago, they're all over Drake May. I think they're capable of beating all the teams in the AFC. Certainly capable of finally winning a divisional round game. I think that the Steelers would be easier to beat than the Ravens. Aaron Rodgers is old. DK Metcalf hasn't had a great year. His offensive line has struggled. Either one would not be that tough, except for the Lamar factor. You just never know. But the Ravens secondary is not very good. Vocal leader in the secondary. By far, the most talkative guy is Kamari Lassiter. Talks more than Derek Stingley Jr. and Kalen Bullock and Jalen Petrie. They could win in bad weather. I mean, I don't think they're incapable of playing in cold weather. They just did that against the Chiefs. Good question from Sarah. I think it's trending that way. We'll know tomorrow if either guy practices, but I heard Trent was not close last week, and it was way too soon for Tay, or after Urster, that is, after his thumb surgery for a fracture and a dislocated. I found that out the day before the game, that it was dislocated and fractured. With Diggs, I mean, he's got to be convicted of something to be suspended, so I don't anticipate an immediate suspension. I think he could be on the exempt list. I also think he could beat the case. There's sort of a financial element that's been alleged. There is something of a recurring pattern in some of this with a lawsuit he filed. There were a countersuit filed by a woman here in Houston. There are ways to avoid these sort of problems. Those text messages did sound like the way he talks. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's guilty of a crime. I would say reserve judgment, and we'll see what happens. He isn't even arraigned yet. He won't be arraigned until close to the championship game. We'll see, are they still playing? I do think for a franchise that's had the Aaron Hernandez, debacle, real black mark on the franchise. Can they endure another scandal? How does Kraft feel about it? What's the court of public opinion? Do they have to banish Diggs? We shall see. I think you can certainly, Sarah, get by with Blake Fisher and Titus Howard for one more week. And then you could probably plug in both of those guys for the wild card round. Just coming right up, right, guys? Like I said, guys, any and all questions, and don't be shy. Thanks, BG. Yeah, and anything you guys want to talk about, we can get into whatever. Offense, defense, special teams, contracts, etc. Oh, thanks, Houston sports fan. I hope to build on some of the things that I thought I did better this year with video content, with the growth of the channel. I started this in October of 2024, and now here at the end of 2025, I'm at nearly 24,000 followers. I, at times, wondered, could I build the channel? Could I get enough people to make it monetized? It took about 3 months for me to start getting monetized. Anybody can do it. It's just about consistency. The shorts thing has helped me a lot. My access helps me a lot that I'm privileged to have. Posting frequently, working on my skills. Do I think they could be better edited? Of course. Do I have a lot of time to put in a lot of bells and whistles? No, I really don't. But I feel like you guys want the basics more so than anything, and the information more so than like me to, try to entertain you with a lot of stuff. I just want to do my best to be informative and hopefully entertain you a little bit. I think the Texans are missing something. They don't have a home run threat generally at running back. They don't have a lot of big players from the tight end position. They aren't getting a lot from the slot generally with Christian Kirk. Absolutely. Could be better, right? Answered this yesterday and also at the top. Yeah, no, Joe Mixon will not be back. I think you're referring to this season. I don't even know if he'll be back next year or if he'll play again. Yeah, I would assume it'd be the wild card, the Saturday game. But remember, they've got to look at everything in terms of the other team, the opponent. But there's a chance it could be on Sunday. Would they want to have the Ravens and the Steelers have to play on short notice? What if it would be a Sunday? But the tradition is the Ravens on Saturday afternoon. And that's what happened last time with the Ravens game. But that was in the divisional round. Yeah, Fisher prefers left tackle, actually. I think they look much more comfortable at left tackle. Thanks, Grove. Appreciate it. They would do the 5th-year option probably for both players if they don't reach the deal ahead of time. So C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., but then probably only get the Anderson Jr. deal done this year, barring a great playoffs from C.J. Stroud, and maybe they would reevaluate. None of that is a definitive decision. I'm just telling you my opinion on what they will do. I do know inside information that they do intend to do the Will deal. Yep. Like I said at the top, we have a sponsor now, Fence Geeks. Check them out on Instagram, at Fence Geeks. I don't know if they'll release him, but I certainly think that's a possibility. I haven't been told that definitively. But it certainly makes sense, right? To move on, especially if he can't get healthy. They could give him one more chance, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't look very good. Stretch out a little bit. Tight. That red-eye flight I took back from LA, still feeling it. Oh, yeah. Will Anderson Jr. will be over $40 million. Speckled Hound, thank you for the very nice comment. He says, A-Dub, an early subscriber. Best Texans content going. Appreciate all your hard work! Exclamation. Thanks, Speckle. Appreciate it. This is my Pat McAfee impression. So then I'll have a beer. And I'll have like a whole bunch of people kissing my butt, standing behind me. And AJ Hawk just standing there like a goon all the time. Not talking, and Pat having to carry the show. But man, sometimes I like that show. I think goodwill to pay Mixon. I think they thought team captain might, cause some type of upset in the locker room if they were a little cold-blooded. I think they felt genuinely bad for Joe because he certainly tried to play. He did not try to scam the Texans. He made some, in my opinion, some medical mistakes in terms of his treatment, trying to get some work done on his own, and ultimately it did backfire. I feel bad for Joe. Kevon Wallace looked quick. He was hard-hitting. He was almost too aggressive. I wonder if someone might try to attack him in play action. I have insight into what actually happened to Joe. Joe hurt himself away from the building, and then it was so bad that they had to get a new running back, Nick Chubb. And then, he had some progress over the summer. I don't have them anymore, but videos of him jumping around doing plyometrics with his trainer in California, in the Bay Area. And then he had a setback. It got worse. The scar tissue got bad. He had electromagnetic therapy to break up the scar tissue. That did not work. I was told he had some injections. All these were procedures done on his own, not through the Texans, and it didn't work. And it's gotten better at times. It's gotten worse at times. He's not ready to play. Certainly Tank Dell on the injured reserve list, right? That would have been ideal to have Tank. I would have cut Trevon too. He's been a little bit of a soap opera up there in Dallas. I wouldn't want him around. I don't think so. Doesn't, play with enough intensity. To me, he's not a Texan. And they didn't have a great experience with Stephon in some ways. I don't think they would want him back. No, I don't see Matt Burke getting the job. I see him getting an interview. No, I don't think Diggs could help you. Kyle Smith. Tank recovery is going great. I did an update yesterday. I also have a video about that. Definitely, one thing I want to make, guys, please watch the videos. I drop a ton of information answering a lot of the questions you guys have tonight. I go through a lot of stuff on the roster about injuries and what's next and try to set things up. And it also helps me significantly with the algorithm if you watch the whole video, not just a little bit, but give it a chance, watch the video, let it breathe a little bit. You can watch on your computer, you can have it on in the background, you can have it on your television, you can have it on your phone, and that's how you get the big numbers. And like I said, it's a competitive thing. I'm trying to compete with everybody. I think everybody's channel is great. My channel has my own style, and I'm not going to change my style, but what I would encourage you guys to do is to watch. The shorts, yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's meant for engagement. Just to explain YouTube a little bit, it takes a lot of people watching your video for a very long time for you to have any real traction and growth. And of course, there's a financial aspect to it. So yeah, I appreciate you guys that do watch the videos and pick up things. There's all kind of nuggets. There's things I'm saying there that are not on my Twitter, that are not on KPRC2 television or on click2houston.com. I'm giving out a lot of information, and it is all free. I've seen Tank Dell run a little bit on the side. He'll be full speed in the offseason. In the season is the most busy because that's when I have to, actually I'm on their schedule, right? So just to tell you a little bit about the life of a beat writer. I need to be there at the start of practice. I need to be alert for any roster moves before practice or any injury updates that I might come up with. Tryouts, visits, tracking all of that, checking on contracts, checking on lineups. Then I take attendance to practice. That's not that hard. I just need to kind of scan the field with my phone, have some mental notes about who's out there, tweet it fast, get some video for you guys to watch and for Channel 2, and then go inside, write if there's some news about who's practicing, not practicing, state of their injury, what kind of injury. Then I prepare for the press conferences with, on Wednesdays, D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud. After that's over, and sometimes I'll have a one-on-one. It just depends if I ask for one or not. And they've been great about getting me one-on-ones. I had a recent one-on-one with Gerard Johnson. After that, we go to the locker room. You have a lot of choice. You can go to the scrums. That's what they call a group interview. Normally, we don't like to miss Will Anderson Jr., Nico Collins, Azeez Al-Shire. But you can go around the room. You can talk to whoever you want. Sometimes there's some one-on-ones, especially with offensive linemen. Those are great. And sometimes with DBs. It just depends. If I'm moving around fast and feeling good, if my back cooperates, I'm just kidding, but I can get around the locker room. And then just have some conversations. Sometimes I'll get as many as 6, 7 interviews on one day. Sometimes I get 3. Off season's tough just because you're flying a little bit blind. You don't know what's going on sometimes. But I would say in season stuff because of the amount of time that I have to commit and the content that's expected. I think they need to get a running back. I need some interior offensive line. Thanks, Brandon. I mean, we're kind of at the end, right? This is the offense. This is who they are. I don't know how much better they're going to get. I think this is kind of what they're like, about 20 points a game. Anyway, this is a DJI. I'm a big fan of this, and it's self-charging. And this is where I have my microphones, and of course, just to give you guys the quality sound. Let me turn this one off, though. We'll have echo. By the way, guys, I know a lot of you guys have talked about the echo. That is because of the lobby at NRG. I don't have a lot of other places to shoot. I could shoot in front of the stadium, but I wouldn't really be able to have my laptop out there as much to shoot in front of the Bulls. So I choose to be in the lobby. That's where most of the videos are from when I'm on site. Tremont really actually runs a very fast 40-yard dash. He scored a touchdown before. I think Jawar would be fine on kicks. He's done it before. He did it in college. I think he'd be good. Thanks, Ruben. Yeah, no, that's fun. Sometimes I'm able to get that, but not always can I be in the tunnel. But on the road, I can get that tunnel angle, and it's fun when they are walking in, kind of celebrating. That actually ran on television, the videos I did from there. They didn't look as good on the shorts. So one thing to tell you guys, because I get questions about this, why are the videos looking the way they do on shorts? I shoot horizontally because that's what television requires. My primary job is working for television stations, so I can't just shoot vertical, worrying about and being selfish and worrying about my social media, my YouTube. So I need to help Randy and those guys when I'm by myself, especially at a road game, and get them that type of video. Then I can convert it, but it doesn't look quite the same, and it puts the guys up real close. That's why they're all weird angles sometimes, or people have asked me, what about the camera work? I got to do the best I can. This is with a phone. It's not with a real camera, and just give you the best video I can give you. Try to improve as a shooter and as an editor all year. That's been an emphasis. Kyle Pitts is a nice player. I think Dalton Schultz has probably earned his way back, though. I think it would be great to have someone like Pitts and likely to go with, but they are bringing back Brevin Jordan. We'll see if Brevin could stay healthy. I think Watson's back for special teams. I don't think they're going to leapfrog the rookies. Right, yeah, on Ursery and Trent Brown. Trent Brown was not close to returning last week. Ariante Ursery tried to play. They decided it wasn't a good idea with the fracture, dislocation, and the metal pins in his They thought it was too soon, 4 days after surgery. What's up, Alvarez? Appreciate you, man. Yeah, good to have you on the live. Couldn't do last week because of the Christmas holiday, so I think a lot of people were busy. I don't know what the attendance would have been like. Maybe it would have been great, maybe not. Same question from someone else. Yeah, Justin Watson. Special teams, if he's active. I think Ravens are a little more dangerous than the Steelers. I know that Aaron Rodgers did beat the Texans last year when he was playing for the Jets, but overall I think they'd be better off playing the Steelers than the once mighty Baltimore Ravens. I don't see a juggernaut, but I think the Broncos are a tough matchup. They have a good defense. They could possibly, quite possibly shut down this offense. That could be a problem where they're not scoring enough points. Bo Nix sometimes he's a streaky quarterback. Sometimes he gets on kind of a run. They're a pretty good team, and they're really well coached by Sean Payton. Don't underestimate the coaching factor, the experience of Payton, Super Bowl winning coach, big-time coach. I'd say it's Denver. Yep. Some people might say New England, and there's an argument you can make for either one, but who knows? Maybe Diggs isn't even playing. It's a bad look. Allegedly, attempted strangulation of a female chef. Hope it's not true. We'll be kind of disappointed. Little note on Stephon Diggs. So Stephon and I are both from the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, the DMV, where I'm from. And we played in the same high school conference. I'm a proud St. John's high school graduate, and we won the championship. I'm much older than Stephon. I covered Stephon's pro day when he was at Maryland, and Bill Belichick was out there. Nick Caserio was throwing passes to Stephon Diggs because there was no quarterback there. So Nick, on a cold, rainy day at Byrd Stadium, University of Maryland, College Park, Maryland, was throwing the passes to a future Texan, future Bill, future Viking. And it all comes full circle. But I'm a little disappointed in some of the things that Stephon has gotten involved in. I like Stephon. Stephon and I have a good rapport. I'm a little disappointed in him to be involved in these situations. Regardless of guilt or no guilt, I think he needs to stay out of this kind of drama. And he's got to mature. He's got to grow up. That's my opinion. That's my editorial opinion. He's got to look in the mirror. He's got to check himself some. I'm a little disappointed in him as a former Catholic League guy. And for the record, because one time at the press conference, he said, we used to beat your ass when he's a good counsel. Not when I was in school. We won 40-0 over the Good Counsel Falcons, St. John's Cadets, Under Armour sponsored school. You see, I fly my Under Armour. Played high school football with Kevin Plank, the founder and CEO of Under Armour. He was our fullback and nose guard. We called him the Planker. My nickname was the Assassin. And we had a nice team. And we had some guys go to the NFL, not me, of course, but did play Division I East Carolina at linebacker. Yeah, it's a great area. You're probably near Herndon, Virginia, near the Ashburn, near the Commander's facility. There's a Ruth Chris and a Morton's out there, too. Buck, we'll catch you up. Just ask questions, and we'll get into it. I was digressing a little bit. I was talking about my old Catholic League days. I sound like Al Bundy talking about the old high school football days. For anybody that used to watch Married with Children. But I didn't go to Polk High. I went to St. John's. Good school. We've produced some NFL draft picks, second rounders, like Terrell Lewis, previously with the Rams, and right now, free agent. But we've had some dudes. We had anybody getting Stephon Diggs type of trouble. I'm like I said, I'm a little disappointed in him. You predicted a 11-5 season. Good job, Tfeezy. I think I said 10 or 11. I think I've said 11 at one point. And I think at one point I was like really optimistic. I said 12. I think I said it on television with Randy and those guys. Randy thought I was crazy. Yeah, they'll get to 12. This is a great season. One of the best seasons in Texans franchise history. And to make the playoffs 3 years in a row in the DeMeco Ryans era, outstanding. Only 4 head coach quarterback combinations have made the playoffs together in each of their first 4 seasons together. That includes John Harbaugh and Joe Flacco, which me covering all of those seasons. Also includes Otto Graham and Paul Brown with Cleveland Browns. So yeah, some really great company that they're in. Very, very cool. Ruben, I would intern. I would try to get an internship. You need to get some experience. It depends if you're trying to write, even if you're trying to be on camera. I encourage you to read a lot. Don't just read about sports. Try to read anything that's very interesting or in depth. Highly recommend reading the New York Times or your local paper, the Houston Chronicle, or any of the great newspapers, magazines, GQ, Esquire, The Atlantic, whatever you feel like reading. Just make sure you're reading a lot because it helps you develop your reading comprehension, your skills. I used to do this when I was 12 years old. I would watch games and then I would write in pencil and paper my version of the story and how I would cover that story if I was a sports writer. So I practiced for years. I was a paper boy for the Washington Post. So I delivered the Washington Post and it got me that literally had ink on my hands. And I was hungry to be a sports writer. And it took years and years of me developing a writing style. And at times I thought I was kind of copying other people, copying, not in the wrong sense, like trying to sound like someone else. I had to find my own voice. That's another big recommendation I'd have. Find your own voice. Be confident. Sell yourself. I'm actually naturally kind of introverted. I've had to work on it to be a little more, some people think I'm a little quiet. That's fine. We all have to practice. But I'm having fun, and I'll tell you this. I've been doing this for a long time. It's a passion. You can't do it just for the money. There might not be that much money sometimes. You do this job because you love it and you think you can do it well. And I enjoy helping you guys. I like to be of service and give you guys the information. I appreciate the people that support the channel. We had a couple hit the tip jar already. That really helps. So anybody wants to do that, I am not going to turn it down. I appreciate it. I think Texans make it to the championship game at least. I actually do think they will make it back. I think it's time for them to move on from Joe Mixon. Absolutely. I think it's, definitely need to go in a different direction. Older back too, with a lot of tread off the tire. Like I said, guys, we're at another 25 minutes or so. I'm going to stay a little bit over an hour. And I want to get to all of your questions. I see we got about 46 people in here. Got about 16 likes. We got a couple of people hit the tip jar. Some top fans like Ruben. So let's get into it. Favorite food spot in the DMV? I used to go to the Rusty Scupper in Baltimore. Sometimes I went to Bill Bateman's. That was another one I really liked. I did go to the Pikesville Ruth Chris. When I'm in DC, I like to go to Joe's. One of my favorites. Lots of good spots. Of course, Jimmy's Seafood. I went to Jimmy's last time I was there. I also went to a restaurant that we also have in Houston. It's a chain called Barcelona. It was great. I was there with my family. Maybe Brees Hall. He was interested and they were interested. I think they could have that conversation. Also represented by Nicole Lynn from Clutch, who represents Will Anderson Jr. and Ed Ingram. Maybe they do a lot of business with Nicole Lynn, the best known and highest grossing female sports agent in NFL history. No, I do not think that Matt Burke will get a head coaching position. That's no knock on Matt. I just think he hasn't been in the cycle before. There's going to be some other guys out there probably ahead of him. But I think he will get a couple of interviews, probably Titans and Giants. Don't know about Raiders yet. Wouldn't shock me if he could get him on the list. He's got a good agent. His agent's very good. There you go. There's the prediction. Dominic says they're going to beat the Steelers, win the home games, get to the Super Bowl. Sounds good. NFC looking pretty strong. We'll see how the AFC could do against NFC opponent. I can solve this for you, Benafi. Okay, ready? And this is if this helps anybody. KPRC has a streaming service which is absolutely free. You can watch it on your phone. You go to www.kprc.com or www.click2Houston.com. You hit watch it live. You know when the shows are on. Sports Sunday is on obviously very late after the Sunday night game. And you hit watch it live. And then once you hit watch it live, you need to hit the play button on the far left. And it's okay if you have Peacock. You can watch us for free on your phone. I know it's not as good, or a tablet. You can watch it on your laptop. Excuse me. And yeah, then Offie, you can watch us. I watched myself while I was at the LAX airport, and my segment that I was on for, and a lot of times I do watch on streaming, either on my television, laptop, or phone. You're good, yeah, Event Offie, yeah, check it out. And please check out clicktohouston.com. We have a nice website which is free, no subscription fees. And yeah, if you feel like it, like I said, anybody wants to hit the tip jar, we got more time left. I appreciate you guys. Singing for my supper here. Maybe I'll get enough to take my wife out. We'll see how that goes. I appreciate everyone that's kicked in, man. Thank you. Okay. I'm not going to take away that comment from Don Juan's. Don Juan Stank. Great handle. Says he loves big ladies. That's wonderful. I don't know why I even repeated that comment, but I'm in my 50s going on 12. I think that CJ was hit too much last year. It affected him. I think the system, and he's not as comfortable as he was in the Slowick system. It's kind of compounded, and at times he's had some inconsistencies. He's had some good moments and some bad moments. That's a good one. That's a good idea to meet up. I've even thought about trying to work with a restaurant, not to different one probably than what Cody and Landry are doing, which is great what they're doing with Spankies. So shout out to them. But yeah, it's not that easy to arrange. I've never had a remote. I wonder if it will work if I just have a phone or maybe a ring light, all that kind of stuff. Don Juan, you must be talking to Charles Barkley. Well, I think Justin has really shown a lot of toughness playing with a broken hand. Some really good running for a big quarterback. I think that's gotten him, some praise. I think Justin's been a little more consistent overall. Yeah, CJ can play better football. He would tell you that. Yes, sir, Don Juan. I've never been to any of the tailgating, actually. I do not see Matt Burke leaving. I think he'll be back next year. Just, guys, and I told you this with Slowick, and nobody wanted to accept this. And this is when you like Slowick. I said, Slowick will not be head coach. No one's hiring Slowick. No one's, Gerard didn't get an OC offer. And everybody freaks out about this stuff. And I understand because, I'm a journalist, you're fans. I would just say for everybody, take a big, deep breath. Relax. You'll keep together most of your team, most of your coaches. It'll be all right. Yeah, tips for YouTube creation. Figure out what your audience is and what you're trying to portray. My audience I've leaned into is Texans, not trying to cover the whole NFL on this channel. I don't have the time and energy to do a bunch of other NFL videos. I wish I did, but I have a full-time job working for Channel 2. And I think, launch the channel, practice your videos, decide if it's going to be, how heavily edited are you going to be. Are you going to do like short form, long form? What's your goal? I don't know what your topic is. And then, get it set up with everything with Linktree. And then after that, start doing some content and start being consistent, posting frequently, but not too frequently enough, and having consistent content, try to build your audience, and then promote your content. Yep, editing is important, but as you can see, this is just a video that has a thumbnail. It's alive, and it's just me talking, and I have a backdrop that, who cares? My football helmet back there and a couple of footballs, but that kind of thing. All right, Glenn. Glenn from Goliad, Texas says he's proud of the Texans and wants to give Nick Cassera a shout out for being the best GM in the league. All right. Flowers for Nick Cassera. Nick Cassera's done a good job. I know. I mean, it still was tough. I started at 0, just like everybody, Chase, at last October when I started this. October 26th, I think was my first video last year. It was around the Patriots week, and it just took me some time. I wasn't even doing lives, and I wasn't doing like long form videos until the off season. The first couple of months, I was just a shorts guy, lots of shorts. I really didn't know much what I was doing. I tried to ask a lot of questions, and I was the fish out of water. I'm a celebrity icon. You're way too kind. People know I am. I don't know if I'm a celebrity. I would say that I'm just a workaday guy that, puts himself in the right place at the right time and tries to do my job well. You ever see The Departed? Mark Wahlberg had that good line. I'm the guy that does his job. You must be the other guy. That was funny. Very, very deadpan as Sergeant Diggum. Great performance. Texans need to play the kind of lights out defense they've been playing, need to hold on to the football, and CJ Stroud's got to make some plays, and they got to be able to run the ball a little bit. They do all those things. They have the formula. They can get to a Super Bowl. I think the Denver Broncos, Chase, are very, very dangerous. Do not sleep on the Broncos. They've already beaten the Texans once. They're very capable. Sure, yeah, I like when they win a big game. I like to tell the stories. And a happy locker room, a winning locker room is generally better for quotations. The interviews are better. I think it goes better. It's smoother for me. More successful team tends to have a bigger audience. So, yeah, no, I'm fine with them winning. I just want you to understand what I mean by that. I don't have an emotional response in terms of like, I'm upset and then I'm going to take it out on the team with over-the-top criticism, or I'm going to cheerlead for them. Like I said, I'm down the middle. That's the way to be. It's pure journalism. No, I don't think Joe Mixon will come back. You're doing well against the Broncos, but I can just tell you this. The Broncos are a formidable defense, and they're certainly capable of beating the Texans. I'm not saying that the Texans can't beat them. You asked me who could beat the Texans. Broncos have, and they could do it better. Do I think the Texans organization, all the people they put at the podium, does a poor job answering the questions the Texans me like yourself ask? Wow, tough question. I think at times they could be more transparent. I also think that a lot of times they give us really great answers. Sometimes D'Amico Ryans does. Sometimes Matt Burke does. Sometimes Frank Ross does. I think Haley is a little bit guarded with his New England background, but at times, especially if it's a positive question, he's going to answer it pretty well. Just depends. You can see D'Amico, sometimes his patience is wearing thin. I think he feels like they're being nitpicked when they're on an 8-game winning streak. I get it. I understand how I would think he wouldn't enjoy the criticism, but it's part of it. It's part of being in the NFL. I do think it's mostly been positive. There was a little stretch there where he was being critical of the media. There was some pushback from the media. I wasn't involved in the beef. I agree with folks that pushed back. I just didn't think that it needed to be so public. It should have been handled behind the scenes. And I thought that everyone could have handled that better, both sides. But it got worked out. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that dramatic. I know everyone thought that was like big drama. I've seen things much more tense than that. When I covered Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars, when I covered Brian Billick with the Ravens, sometimes John Harbaugh would get tense. John Harbaugh got mad at me before. He'd call me up and we'd talk it out, man to man. And John Harbaugh's a friend of mine. He's a good guy and doing his best up there. I've known him for a long time, since 2008. But yeah, there's an ebb and flow to all these relationships. And the biggest common denominator needs to be respect and proper communication. I think they draft someone, they try to get Brees. Yeah, you guys good, which means I'm not good with what you guys are asking me. Absolutely. We moved on from that, though. Keck wants to know if the Texans are a little Pollyanna about asking tough questions because they see the media in Baltimore. They have it way good here. It is really easy compared to Baltimore. compared to Jacksonville when Pete Prisco was the beat writer and I was a rookie beat writer, learning on the job. It is way easier than Philly, New York, etc. Yeah, that's a good question about my job affecting my sleep schedule at all. My sleep schedule is uneven, and sometimes I am sleep deprived, and sometimes I can tell I look a little tired. I try my best to catch sleep when I can. I am not a great sleeper sometimes. Sometimes I'm very focused on work. Other times I work out late at night because I need to unwind, need to get out of the house, get off my computer. But sometimes I sacrifice sleep for that. I've been kind of really tired with the West Coast thing and having a red eye flight. So I'm just now kind of getting back to normal. Thanks for asking. I think it's, I'm doing better. Super soft here, Kat Hogan says, not saying anything about the media. Culture. Maybe a little bit, we're in the South, it's a friendlier, little laid back vibe sometimes. There's some people that ask tough questions. I think Landry asks some tough questions sometimes. My question is, I'm not necessarily trying to ask a tough question. My point is to try to elicit information. I want to learn something. I watch the ball and I watch the line play as much as possible. I like to watch the line. If there's a key matchup, I will focus on that. Yo, yes, I only cover the NFL. I occasionally, if they ask me to contribute on other sports, I've done it before. I've done golf. I've covered NBA. I've covered baseball. I've covered minor league hockey. I've covered a lot of high school sports. Yeah, I mean, their job isn't necessarily to just hand out they think sometimes there's some competitive advantage to not giving out a ton of information. I understand their perspective too, but for example, last week, I knew the offensive line alignment. A lot of people could figure it out. I knew it exactly. I knew the surgery, and I knew that he wouldn't be able to play. But he was trying to play, but I didn't think he would get to play. And I think Trent would get to play. I mean, it's the way they ended the game. I don't think there's any competitive advantage for the Chargers. They could have figured out who's going to be out there. There's also the injury report, which literally tells you who didn't practice. Thanks, Ruben. Appreciate you. Thanks to everybody that's hitting the tip jar. Appreciate those. That's great. There's a little more time for that too. Hint, hint. People in the Texans media, oh boy, I think there's regulars, about 10 to 12 regulars. There's some people that only come to the game that don't even bother to come to practice. I consider them mostly colleagues. We are competing, but we're not heated competitors. We don't try to undercut each other. We just all try to do our jobs. Laser wants to know, how did I become the guy that breaks the Texans news? Great question. I have a lot of sources inside the building and outside of the building. I have great relationships. I've been covering the NFL since my first game was in 1997, and I've known people that work with the players for a very long time, and it helps me to do that. I also concentrate on it. I know what I think is going to happen next, what they need, and I'm checking on things. So I'm checking on Solomon Byrd clearing waivers. I'm watching for that and then finding out, is he going here? Is he going to another team? The Jaguars are interested, finding out that he's here. So I know it's a small one, but that's mine. Or Urshery surgery, or Cade Stover breaking his foot, or many other things, or Joe Mixon, or Tank Dell. Why? I think it's important. What do you guys most want to know about? The lineup, the injuries, the contracts. That's the bedrock foundation of beat reporting. You start there, and then you branch out to other things I just call content, like matchups and features and charity stuff they do in the community. It's all coverage. It's all important. Texans will play the winner of the AFC North. Yes, sir. Oh boy, Glenn. I was 7 years old. I don't know. Maybe so. Yeah, I mean, there are some people that do sports and politics, including guys at 790. There's a former sports anchor in town that I know does some politics and sports. You can do what you want. You don't have to pick one or the other. No, you wouldn't want the Diggs contract at all. Absolutely not. What are you talking about, Ruggins? That's just dumb. Removing that one. Because he's not healthy enough to play, Benoffee. If he's not healthy enough to play, then he can't help you. Keck Hogan wants to know, a lot of media questions. Legacy members, I'm not sure who you mean. Let me know who you mean by that. Of the Texans media are a little unfair with their assessment of my content that I try to get pressers. I do not, but you're removed. I don't care what they think at all. I don't know if Joe's going to be playing for anybody. He's got to get healthy. I think some of them just like to have a little bit of fun with it, and that's okay. It doesn't bother me. I'm pretty thick-skinned. Yeah, some weirdos, right? Talking about Diddy. Some other guy said something racist. Yeah, we remove those. They're no longer in the chat. I don't think they're going to be 100% healthy by playoff time. I think they might be healthy enough to play, if that answers your question. Play hurt. If I was D'Amico, I'd rather play against Aaron Rodgers, not Lamar Jackson. Absolutely, BJ. Yeah, I mean, you got to have the courage of your convictions. I can't do this job if I'm only worried about what people say. Yep. People are immature, right? Houston sports fan? It's okay. I think I think they figure it out at halftime. They look at the score. They look at how things are going. I'd be surprised if he's that. Interesting. Yeah, I don't want to comment on those gentlemen. Two of them are retired. One of them just does the radio program, so that's a little bit different role. I am in my 50s. Feeling it today, feeling 50. Some days I feel like I'm in my 40s. Today, end of the season, feel a little tired. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't think I want to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl again. I'd be good with Seattle. Really good team. Seahawks Texans rematch. Not sure how that would go. I saw some of the 49ers game at a restaurant at the LAX called Boa, and there was a lot of 49ers fans there. They were loud. They were yelling, "Bang, bang, Niner gang" at the end of that game. They were excited. I'm surprised at how they played a little bit because it was reshuffled again, and it's a pretty good front. They had some good pass rushers, and I thought it was going to be tough. Thanks, Keck. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, ultimately, I can only control what I can control. Just like the football players, I can control my content. I can't, get into what these guys are doing and whether they do it one way or I do it another way. I do it my way, and like Frank Sinatra said, did it my way, and that's. I really I'm a big fan of Frank's music, and I take that to heart. There's a lot of life lessons sometimes in the things he says if you look at the lyrics. Rodgers wouldn't be able to move around. I think it's tougher to play against Jackson. We'll see how his back feels, right? He has a major contusion. Time for a couple more questions. A couple more times. Yeah, thanks, Keck. Time for if anybody wants to hit the tip jar here at the end. Probably asked me times. I get it. I appreciate it, but time is money. It's a busy time. Like I said, I've got time for a couple more questions. If anybody's got something they think it's talk, we got 55 people in here. That's good. Good high amount. What do you guys got? They're upset with Lamar. My sources, I've known this for years that they were upset with Lamar. It wasn't really my story to tell, but yeah, everything that was said about Lamar is true. There's more to it too. I don't know if they'll be able to move on. He has no trade clause. We'll see how that goes. Yes, the plan is to do a Will Anderson deal. I don't know how long it will take. It's a big contract. It might take all the way into the summer. It's not something you can just do in your sleep. It'll be like $40 million a year plus, in my opinion. Yeah, that could happen. They could get the 5th. Bills win, Jags lose. Aziz is under contract, but there's no more guaranteed money. I heard they will want to address the deal in the offseason. Extend. Titus Howard, I think they'll try to extend them too. I think they're going to play the Ravens. I like the Patriots' chances. I know the Buffalo's good, but I watched that whole game. I didn't think that they looked that great against the Eagles. A couple more questions, guys. Got a few more minutes here. Like I said, this is nice. We have 57 people in here, so this is a good number. Appreciate you guys. Remember, I mentioned earlier, new sponsor. They're on Instagram, and I'm going to have a ad read I'm going to work up for Finsky's, our first formal sponsor since last year when we had Semi Gutide. Yeah, Kamara should be okay. I don't think he'll practice tomorrow, though. Aziz is the glue. Absolutely. Hey, Army. Like I said, anybody just got in, I can take a couple questions. Line them up. So I got to get back to work, and I got to get some rest eventually here. We're at about 1 hour and 6. So type them up, post, and I'll answer questions for the next 4 minutes. Or if you guys are done, then we'll peace out. Scheduling. Yeah, my pro tip, BG, go look at futureschedules.com, Google it, figure out which games they're having. Very easy to find that information. Wait till the NFL schedule comes out, then start buying your flights. I don't think they would re-sign Nick Chubb. I think they would draft a running back or sign one in free agency. CJ and Nick, they're getting along. They like each other. They're getting along well. He just wasn't a good fit. The guy in New Orleans had coached him before. It's now with Chicago, and he's able to work with him. He's kind of doing what he wants, playing his own defense. Absolutely. I reported this previously on social and on my video. Please watch the other video. Tank Dell is out for the season. That was always the plan. That is not news. If Aziz attends a charity event, how can the media get involved? Will it be from his part and his agent, or the Texans are forced to send media due to him belonging to them? I've covered several Aziz charity events. Sometimes, though, he doesn't want to publicize all of his charities because he does it genuinely from the heart, and his philanthropy is not about publicity. But I have covered some of his events before, and I enjoy them, including him attending some Frank Ross events, including attending the Inspire Change Grant one. He's around. I think the all-white's pretty cool, but the red's even better. Players like Kaylee. Kaylee's a good dude. I haven't heard any complaints about Kaylee as a person. I think like everybody that's hurt could play. I think that they need to try to find a way to maybe build in some rest during the week here. They would rotate, yeah, if they get a lead or if the game doesn't matter. They'd have that conversation with Trent Brown. He wants to come back. I know that. Tank will be back next year. Aziz is very nice, and there's going to be something happening soon. I can't announce it yet. It's embargoed, that Aziz will be happy about and others will be happy about. Thanks, footballer, for the happy New Year's Eve 2026. Like, right back at you. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody that's hitting the tip jar, man. Thank you. Lighting up that tip jar. That's awesome. That's what I call it. People think it's funny. I call it the tip jar. I don't know what else you could call it. Super chats. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. Got a couple more minutes if anyone wants to kick in. Will Anderson Jr. is healthy. Well, their games are at the same time, Jacksonville and Tennessee. What if it's a nail biter? What if it's going down to the wire? But you could probably know that. Probably know by halftime. What if Jacksonville's got a big lead? What if then D'Amico has time to decide that they could sub out. I don't know. It's too early, Terrence, to know if they're going to trade up for a running back. You're way ahead. Got to get to the offseason first. Woody's ankle's not bad. He might get on the injury report, but yeah, Aziz will have surgery on his thumb in the offseason. He's been playing with dislocated thumb for several weeks. That's right, yeah. I think no, Rivers is done. Philip Rivers is absolutely going to go back to coaching high school football. Texans are playing the starters, yes. Time for a couple more. Heck yeah. Here's to 2026. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's New Year resolutions all come true. A couple more here before we get under the wire. I think they could beat the Ravens. They beat them like 44-10 last time without Lamar. I wouldn't be nervous about it. They don't have much of a defense anymore. Some good matchups with Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, but I think they can handle it. All right. Yes, they do get along well. Thank you so much, BG. Appreciate that. I don't think that they are going to extend him this offseason. That's just my opinion. I think they might punt it and do the fifth-year option and see about doing it down the road, maybe the following year, if he plays well. A couple more. Anybody else have a question? Just want to be fair, make sure everybody gets a chance. You're welcome. Absolutely. My pleasure to answer your questions. Conkey, it was in the slot, so there was a lot of Petrie. There was some safety help too. Super Bowl matchup. Let's go Broncos versus Seahawks. That's how I feel about it tonight. I reserve the right to change my mind. No good D tackles out there on waiver wire. Leke Fotu was a good pickup. No real opinions on draft board yet. I think they need interior offensive line, running back, defensive tackle. Maybe another safety. Make sure that you're properly inflated. Monster. You're welcome. Official Chicago. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm just waiting to see if we can get a couple more questions. All right, guys. Looks like it's good nights. All right. I'll say good night too. Let's talk soon. And guys, remember I'm on. You can please watch, like, and subscribe here. Hit the hype button on the longer videos. Appreciate you guys doing that. We have a new sponsor. I don't know if they're going to shake up the coaching advice. I don't have any advice on buy her flowers, how to get your wife back. Maybe that'll work. Be nice. Apologize if you have something to apologize for. Speak from the heart. I don't think they're a great cold weather team. I don't think they're a bad cold weather team. I think they're an average cold weather team. All right, guys. Thanks. There will be a replay of this available for anyone that missed it. And we'll have practice tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, please watch, like, and subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and X, @AaronWilson_NFL, Instagram, AaronWilson7128, on television at KPRC2, and on radio at Sports Talk 790, and, of course, www.click2houston.com. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. And, yeah, Monster, you got jokes. You're a funny guy. But I appreciate you keeping it clean, so we're good. I don't know, Moss. Good luck with that, man. Maybe ask your best friend or a mentor for some advice on these. Affairs of the heart. I don't know if I'm not Miss Manners or Delilah. I don't have the advice necessarily on these relationship things, but good luck, man. Yeah, stay up. I know, close personal friend questions, yeah. People trust me, so I guess I have a trustworthy vibe. They want my advice. I'll tell you this, never stop dating your wife. You always got to keep it fun and respectful. Do that. It's also, that rhyme, it's cheaper to keep her, haha. People always say that one. All right, Army. Guys, thank you. Good night. And good luck to your Texans. And keep it locked here all week. And yeah, it's going to be good. I'm glad you like the advice, Moss Monster. Happy New Year, everybody. Good night. Yep, I'll get some rest.